What's up? How y'all doing? It's Jared. And this is a Manix 2 Lightweight and Maximet, right? And I'm glad that I got this knife because it shows me a couple things that I really just wasn't expecting, right? You know, the knife collecting is kind of a learning experience. You're always figuring out new things. And this one has taught me a couple things because this is an awesome knife. It's actually excellently executed, right? I really do think that. It's fantastic. Somebody was sitting somewhere, some executive somewhere, right, in a business suit, was sitting somewhere. They had the original the original one here with the, steel liners, everything in it. Manix 2. I honestly forgot what the name of the knife was there for a second, but they had this knife. They were sitting there like, yeah, all right, I got this idea. Let's strip out the liners. Let's make it completely out of FRN like we used to do a lot of, the Delica series and the Endura back in the day. And they decide to actually do that. They're like, yeah, let's actually do that. Let's take this knife and do that. And for me, from an executive standpoint, from a design standpoint, that takes some balls, right? So, somebody was sitting there like, I know this is going to work, and it did, because this is almost getting into one of their bread and butter knives. This is a staple in the Spyderco market. This is a staple in the knife industry. And a whole lot of companies have attempted to fill this specific market. You know what I mean? They've attempted to fill this really, really lightweight but still fully capable knife, right? And a lot of companies have attempted it, but they've never really come up with anything quite the same. This is a nice knife. It's a 531 Pardue. It weighs about 2.1 ounces, but it's just not the same. You can't get the same amount of work done. This is more in the gentleman's class of folder, while this is a full-size knife. This is a full-size folding knife, but it still weighs 3 ounces. It weighs just sub 3 ounces, and that's really impressive. It's really hard to do. And so I really respect that because it fills a niche in the market that a lot have attempted, but not very many have actually been successful at. I really do appreciate that. It's just a cool thing in itself. And with all that, it isn't actually a good knife too. It's a good working knife. You can use this thing for a lot of different tasks. It's going to excel in any sort of EDC cutting. You've got a whole lot of blade. You've got a great blade profile just due to the length. The actual breadth of the blade here, it comes down to a very narrow, very thin cutting edge. You've got a lot of slicing potential with this Spyderco leaf-shaped blade. It's just an excellent design knife, especially for any sort of work most work people have to do. And then you come into the defensive realm with this, and it's definitely a good defensive knife. This is a good tactical folder. It's not excellent, but it's definitely it'll do the job. It's going to get the job done. You're going to be able to protect yourself with this if you know what you're doing. And so it's definitely a good knife, but at the same time it does some things that I just don't like. And if you watched the video, actually, it's like Spyderco showing off, right? I said I was going to carry this knife for about a week before I did a review on it, and that is stuck true. However, I uploaded that video probably over a month ago. The reason being, every time I carry this knife, right, because I don't do a whole lot of EDC cutting. I do. I cut fruit and crap like that all the time, but I don't do a whole lot of boxes. I don't do a whole lot of envelopes and things like that. I cut branches and I cut vines and crap like that off the trail because I'm a dog walker and dog trainer. So I'm always in the bushes, and the bushes are always growing. And so that's the majority of the cutting I do. And whenever I snag harder material with this, if I'm coming into a branch, if I'm coming into a vine, something that's dead, if I'm coming down on something that's dead, if I'm carving a piece of wood, if I just pick up a piece of wood and I decide to whittle while I'm walking down the trail, I can feel the flex in this handle. I can feel it bending and moving in ways that I just don't like. It can crinkle. I don't know if you can hear it. You can hear the plastic bending and moving in my hand, and it jerks, and it just doesn't feel nearly as good as something like this. And then as well, you've got this. Listen. That is an amazing sound. It sounds fantastic. I feel that pop. I feel that tolerance in my hand. This knife here doesn't have any of that. It sounds like a backlock when it's opening. It definitely sounds good. It sounds solid. It does have that thud that suggests lockup. You know what I mean? It does sound good, but it's just not in the same realm. And so it's taken me a while to actually get a good impression of this. And I'm not going to have a good impression of the steel, the Maxima in itself, because I'm just never going to carry this knife enough to actually be able to get an impression of that. Because every time I do, there's always something I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm going to carry that one today. That's a crazy-ass steel. It's a fun knife. I'm going to carry that one today. I'll carry it, I'll use it a little bit, and then I'll wind up taking it out of my pocket that night and putting it away because I remembered why I wasn't carrying it the previous day. And so it's definitely an excellent knife. I can't contest to that, but at the same time, it's just something that I'm not a fan of. That's the Spyderco Manix 2 Lightweight. Y'all have a good one.